Whether you're married or single or poly or ace, or hanging out with swingers back at your place, listen to us as we give no fuck on Tinder and Bumble and plenty of yucks, trying and having no luck, because we all know dating kinda sucks. Sarah and Adam are two of a kind. He says stupid shit and she doesn't mind. They're not doing this show to make any buck. Life as a chicken whose feathers they pluck. Why does it work? Well, here is the crux. They both know dating kinda sucks. Dating kinda sucks.
Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Adam Heath Avitable.
This is Dating Kinda Sucks, a podcast about dating, sex, and relationships. This week, we'll be talking about how to date when you're broke. Enjoy the show.
And if you're watching this on YouTube, now is the time to like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and don't miss a single video or short that we post.
Well, we're back. Happy Valentine's Day.
It is. Today is February 14th, Valentine's Day.
We didn't do a Valentine's Day episode, but this is as close as we can get.
That's because you hate doing themed episodes.
I really do.
Every year I've been like, we should do a Valentine's Day episode. You're like, why the fuck would we do that? It's not evergreen content. It's just only going to be valuable for that one, like whoever listens during that 1 week, and nobody gives a shit.
It sounds like something I would say. Yeah.
I think so. And you're right.
I mean, evergreen, yes, but only in a certain time frame.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I don't know. You hate Valentine's Day anyways.
I mean, I think it's kind of worthless, and it's a commercial holiday. It doesn't really have much value.
Mm-hmm.
I ordered myself some chocolates. So I got a heart of chocolates from whatever, one of those places, Russell Stover or whatever.
Yeah, the popular
I haven't had
one.
those. Yeah, I haven't had those in a long time. They're kind of shitty. You know,
I like Ghirardelli. That's always my
maybe
go-to.
but like I was kind of looking forward. I was like, oh, I like you pick the little ones. You don't know what they're going to taste like. And I've so far I got one, and I've had 3 of them, and they've all just been like they're chocolates that I like. Like I like the flavors, but I'm just like, maybe I just don't like this. And like, I don't know. I feel like my taste buds have changed, which is weird. I feel like they've changed ever since I had that terrible night in Vermont before I left, started driving again, where I had food poisoning and I was like vomiting so bad that I was like bile was coming up. I think it literally has permanently changed my taste buds. Because my favorite candy of all time used to be like peanut butter chocolate, and now it doesn't really do anything for me.
You've never mentioned that before.
Yeah, it's been weird. I've been waiting for it to go away. My mother was originally saying like, well, try this. You might have scarred them, and they might actually take some time to heal. But I mean, it's now been almost a year, and I would hope they would have been healed by now.
Did you get COVID around that time, or no?
No, I didn't have COVID. I wasn't around any human beings. No, I just had the food poisoning.
Okay.
And I think I think I actually like permanently disfigured my taste buds, maybe with
I didn't know that was possible.
I think just maybe the stomach acid just burning your taste buds.
What the fuck? Well, you learned something new. Beats me. I'm no fucking doctor. I never knew that was possible.
I am a doctor. I don't even know.
You're not a medical doctor.
No, that's true. I didn't say that part.
That's true.
Yes. But anyways, yeah, so I don't like chocolates anymore. I've decided it just doesn't do it for me. I'm sad that I spent money on this. But oh well. I ordered DoorDash for lunch, and they were like, you can add on and have someone stop by Walgreens on your driver stop by Walgreens. I was like, that's a genius idea. And
that is smart. Yeah. You fuck up and forget to buy something.
Yeah, exactly.
We can do it for you.
So then I'm sure the delivery person thought I was buying this for someone else. And I was like, nope, just me. But yeah, so here we are, Valentine's Day, recording this episode to be available at the end of the week. I'm sure a lot of people are probably putting off their like major Valentine's Day celebrations
until the weekend, anyways.
The weekend after or weekend before, like it's one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to go out on a Tuesday night for Valentine's Day, usually.
Yeah. Brian and I had plans, and then it was to this restaurant, but we weren't really jazzed about it. We're like, this is a reservation we could get. Do you want to eat here? And I was like, I'd rather eat here instead, but there was nothing. And I was like, let's just do takeout. So we're just going to order takeout and be really chill tonight. And then over the weekend, we'll do something fun. So
well, that'll be nice.
Yeah.
You guys aren't really big into Valentine's Day generally.
No, he just
you like a couple. You like chocolate. Like you just want someone to buy
he bought a lot of chocolate. Yeah, so I have a supply. I mean, we have a supply. Realistically, he's good. I can't eat it all. So
right.
yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the nice thing about living with the person that you're dating is when you do buy things like that, you know you're going to probably share.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
then you try to buy something you both like.
Yep. We
Like if
have
they
like
don't
these little Kinder. I don't know. They're like
Kinder
crisps.
eggs.
No, they're not the eggs. They're like these crisps. I don't know. And they're small, but bite size is dangerous because I can eat a lot of them. So
Yeah, bite size, lots of bites.
yep.
We skipped a week because I had a man cold and I was at death's door.
You didn't sound very good though. You
Oh
might.
God, it was terrible. Well, my dad got sick, which I don't know how. I mean, probably just from going over one of the neighbors for dinner, and they have kids, and of course, kids are little germ machines, and so he got sick, and so I was bringing him meds to take care of him, and he's the only person I was seeing because I wasn't leaving anywhere else. So he managed to get me sick, but then he got so sick that he like fell out of bed and hurt himself. And I mean, he fell in the bathroom when he was getting
It
up
was
from
just
bed in the
there,
middle of the
right?
night. Yeah, he apparently went to pee and then like lost his balance and fell over, laid there and wasn't sure he could get up again. So then he kind of scooched himself all the way to the back to the bedroom and was apparently trying to yell for like Siri or whatever to call me. But his voice, because of the cough that he had, his voice was like really gone. So he had almost no voice at that point. So he couldn't really do that. So he said he was just sitting there cursing me the whole time, which was fine. And so
But
like,
wasn't he supposed to have his Apple Watch on or
well,
something?
yes,
That
he's
was the
supposed
whole
to sleep
point.
with his Apple Watch on so he can see how his sleep's going and everything like that. But of course, he had it on the charger next to his phone and he couldn't reach it. So he just laid on the floor in his place. And like at around like 10:30, 11, I texted him, "How are you feeling?" I hadn't heard from him. I was like, well, maybe he slept in. Around 11:30, I was like, I'm getting a little worried. I call, no answer. I was like, I guess I should go over there. So I go there around noon last week on like a Saturday, and I go in the door. The door's locked, so I'm like, well, he never even came downstairs because he usually unlocks the door. So I unlock the door and go inside, and I hear him upstairs. I'm up here, and I go up, and he's still just laying there on his back. Yeah, poor guy. He'd been laying there. He said I probably fell down around maybe 11:30 midnight. So he'd been basically laying there for 12 hours.
Jesus.
I know. Poor guy. So I had to quite physically lift him up onto his feet. And then he was still sick from the flu. And so he just basically slept for a day. I had to push back. He was flying to Florida, push that back a day and just take care of him for a day and make sure just keep checking on him and everything and all of that. And I mean, and not, I'm going to say this, and I hope this doesn't embarrass him, but I mean, he's a 70-year-old man, and he was laying there for 12 hours. So, like, I mean, he had to pee a couple times while he was there, and he had no choice. And I think he was very, very embarrassed about that. But I helped him get all back into fighting shape again. And then I started getting sick right at the last minute, right when I was supposed to drive him to the airport. And I started getting like this cough, and I got up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, and all of a sudden I was really lightheaded. And I was like, no wonder he fell, because if he had the same thing I did, then yeah, I mean, I'm dizzy right now from this flu or whatever it was. So then I went to bed for like a week straight, and I really didn't do anything.
Yeah.
It was yeah, it was pretty bad. And I still have this cough. It's going to come up occasionally. You might hear me cough. I'm going to try to mute it. But just so you know, if it comes in there, it's my fault, not Sarah's. Blame me. And then of course, this is just a random rant here now. But my dad, like, he goes to Florida for like a month. He's gonna go visit my siblings and family members. Great. I want him to do that. It's great. Get out of the cold weather, get away from the house. It feels really empty now that my mother's not there. Like, I think it's very good for him. But he decides to turn the water off. Now I'm in a condo about a mile down the road that's attached to a resort that has a laundry machine, a laundry room with like coin op washers and dryers that are terrible. And so I just always go over to their place to do laundry because it's literally a mile away. And he's like, "Oh, I'm turning the water off just so the pipes don't freeze. So you're going to be on your own for doing laundry." So I found a local laundry place that actually will pick up, do your laundry, and then bring it back all folded and stuff the next day.
Nice.
A little pricey, but it seems like it might be a good job. So today was the first day they picked it up. And so I had my laundry all in a laundry basket, like a collapsible laundry basket. I had all my clothes in the bottom. And then today I took my towel and threw it in there. And then I put my washcloths in there. Now the washcloths, I use a new washcloth every day. because I'm washing my ass with that thing. I'm not going to use Reeza the next day. If you do that,
Right.
you're disgusting, by the way. Let me just say that. So I use a new washcloth every single day. And so I just take it and I usually lay it out on the corner of the tub when I'm done with it. So then there's a stack of that are just dry. Well, they're more than just dry. They're like stiff.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm realizing that I'm handing this laundry person a stack of stiff washcloths.
Why isn't it in the back? You just straight up handed
not handing it to them, but I'm handing them a basket, and like the basket. So on the top are the washcloths, because that was the last thing that I like basically used. I put the towel in there, then I took all the washcloths and put it on top. So there's just like this random like stack of like rock hard. They're not rock hard. You know what I mean?
Fuck
But
me,
like
God.
washcloths you can knock on the wall. Then I'm like, they're gonna think these are jizz washcloths. Like they're gonna think that's what these are. And I don't know how not to like. I can't be. Hey, yeah. What do you?
Don't
can't
worry. There's no comment.
you can't preemptively be like, hey, sorry, those aren't jizz washcloths. Those are just normal washcloths that have just dried out in a stiff way because they had soap and water in them. But yeah, so I didn't realize until I handed the basket to the person to take away, and I was like, oh my God, those look like jizz washcloths. And
I'm sure they've seen it all, though.
just because they've seen it all doesn't mean that I want to add to what they've seen. Like it just, I want to try to avoid that.
Yeah, but it's not like they can see anything on them when they go to. They're literally just gonna dump it in.
I know they are.
Whatever.
Well, they separate them apparently. So apparently they're going to go through and they separate everything into its own little things, and they're gonna pick one of them and say, "Oh my God, this thing is stiff as a board."
No, they're not.
How much did he jizz in this thing? That's really what they're gonna say. Especially because the funny part is, I called the place and I was like, "Hey, can I drop off instead of having a delivery? Like, have you pick up, because I don't want to pay the minimum fee, and I don't think I have enough." I said, "I'm just a single guy living alone, so I don't think I have enough laundry to actually."
Why did
Because I was talking to this woman. Yes, Cassandra, if you ever listen to this podcast, hopefully you know this. But yeah, and I was talking to this very nice woman, and I was like, yeah, I'm just a single guy, like staying alone. Like, I don't think I have enough laundry to really meet your minimum. And I was like, it just, and so she's like, well, we can test it out and see whatever. But so, yeah. So like, she's also gonna be like, oh yeah, this is the single guy with the jizz cloths. That's how they probably gonna have my name in their order things, with jizz guy is what it's gonna be now. Hey, you got to do a drop off for the jizz guy again. Like that's I've become the jizz guy now.
You're looking way too far into it. I don't think it's that serious.
I don't know.
They probably have a lot of other single guys who do their laundry and towels. They'll probably look at it, go, that's gross, and dump it in. They're not going to be like, oh, look at this jizz cloth. It's not.
Okay.
They've probably seen a lot worse, like
maybe
piss stained sheets or shit stained sheets,
well, I mean, you're probably true.
Vomited
right.
things or very discolorated items that are probably worse to look at than this looks crusty, but it's not and doesn't look. That's
probably true.
You're probably fine.
Probably, but still, that's all ran through my head as I handed it to them. It was like in slow motion. It's just like the entire process.
Not the jizz.
Not the jizz cloth. Splooge. Yeah. So
you should have just doubled down and said something. I don't know why you didn't. It would have been funny.
I should have said sorry.
Don't worry, I didn't come on these.
Sorry, they're stuck together. Oh yeah, I don't know. If I doubled down, I thought you meant funny. I should have just been like just gone the other direction.
Oh. I mean, you could go either way.
I've been lonely. Sorry.
And then just say, and then I would end it with just fucking with you or some shit like that. But
they'd never believe it. But anyways, so that's been the extent of my love life recently, is jizz washcloths that aren't really jizz cloths.
That aren't, yeah. Okay, fun times.
What else has been going on that I want to talk about? Because this is my time to socialize with human beings, basically.
Things going on?
Yes.
I don't know.
I did have a good Bumble conversation with someone. We matched and had a really great conversation. We were talking about all types of things. And pretty much every day, and we're trying to maybe trying to meet up at some point. She lives, unfortunately, of course, on the other side of the mountains, so it's like this, it's always this obstacle. And then I was sick, and I went through a day where I just was really just not feeling, I just was tired. I didn't sleep well, and so I didn't reply, or I didn't reply to her. I think it was my turn to respond or whatever, and I didn't for 12 hours. And then at night I finally got up and I was feeling good enough to look at my phone and use my phone, and I saw that she'd sent a message 5 minutes earlier. So I click on Bumble and her profile was gone. So first of all, let me just say, if you are going to leave someone a snarky message like, well, I guess I'm not important enough for you to talk to after 12 hours.
Don't unmatch 5 minutes
Right,
later.
exactly. Yeah, give them time to see it before you unmatch, because then all your wit is just off in the ether. Nobody's going to see it. But also, how about just a little bit of consideration? Like, I just thought that was just weird. Like, we'd been talking for 3 days straight, and it was just odd that she just decided just to disappear like that. And she knew I wasn't feeling great because I had told her. So, because there have been
Oh,
times,
that was what I was gonna ask.
yeah, there
Yeah.
have been periods of time where I just kind of, had been quiet for like, oh, sorry, I didn't respond to you for, I fell asleep last night at 5 p.m. because I feel like shit, and so I didn't respond in the morning. But
I think it's easy to write that off as he's lying to me. Honestly, from being on the other side, especially if you're coming
maybe
from a negative place of
that's
dealing
true.
with a lot of shitty guys, and then you get someone who's a little less responsive and he's giving those answers, although it might be true and it's not fair, that's how some people think of like, oh, he's just saying that he's not actually sick, which is shitty, but
Yeah, and
the
you're right.
reality.
You're right. That actually could be the issue. And I guess it's a moot point. So
Yeah.
yeah, so there was that. And this weekend was another pop-up, my favorite pop-up art show in Orlando, Nude Night. And it was
But you weren't
apparently a
there, right? You just
rousing
were in.
success. I was not there, unfortunately. This is the first one in a while. I think I've been to every one that they've had over the last 7 years. So um and I did have a piece in it, and it was kind of exciting that I still got to exhibit there even if I wasn't in it. But this was the weird thing. So I'm so used to having photos of like my models and everything that I do getting hung on the walls there, and I think it's really cool. And I remember a friend of mine, her first time that she was a model, not for me, but for somebody else, and she had a nude on the wall. She's like, it's kind of weird. Like, it's kind of weird thinking that you just like have this like nude photo on the wall that people are gonna be walking by and like seeing, that you don't even know who's seeing it and whatever. And this is my first time having, like, it says full frontal nudity in in a photograph in like giant 24 by 60 canvas hanging in this art gallery that has thousands of people coming to it for 3 days straight. And so I did realize it, even as someone who is extremely shameless and extremely comfortable with everything, it was still just a little bit like, oh, that is a little odd now to think about that. Like, you're not controlling it as much as you are if I put something on Instagram or if I put something on social media where I have like it's just
You
out
know who's
there.
probably going to see it
Right.
versus,
I know
yeah.
the audience versus this audience, which I know the audience too. But I know that there's there's going to be some of that audience that I have no idea who the fuck they are, or maybe they haven't talked to me in years or something, and they walk in and like, hey, I know that guy, and then there's a naked picture of
There's
him.
his dick. No.
Yeah, exactly. There's his dick. All right, well, there we go. So that was interesting.
Huh. Well, I was seeing people tag you, like standing in front of your photo and tag you saying like, oh, there's Adam or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
with their head covering your dick or the tag
Or
covering your
their
dick or
hand or
whatever.
something. Yes.
Yeah.
I had to make it social media friendly. But it was cool to have friends go by and and take photos with it and everything. But it was just and I know that I've got my trolls, and I've got my like there's always even though it's been years, there's always these group of trolls that are just, that's all they do. They're pathetic. They have nothing to do with their lives, and so they still try to attack me. And I just love the idea of some of the local ones from Orlando having no clue and just walking in and like just being face to face with that photo. Just it's like it's a way for me just to be like, fuck you, like, haha, like, even though I'm not even in Florida, I can still shock you like that. So
Did you see any of your trolls say anything about it online?
well, I didn't try to look up any of
Oh,
them,
okay.
but I know last nude night that there were some people that I was like very much did not want to see, that wanted to avoid, as I was walking through the crowd, that I saw too. So I know that there are people that go to it who are the group that would not, and that makes me smile a little bit, at least, to think about the fact that they got face to face with that. But
Interesting.
dick, that's right.
That's kind of great revenge in a way, but
Right, and not even on purpose. That's the best
right.
kind of revenge, when it's just like you just accidental, like, oh yeah, this is gonna happen, it might be funny.
Yep. Love that.
Well, that's all the news that's fit to print in my world. What's going on in your life?
Let's see. We know about Valentine's Day. I got locked out of my house yesterday while I was on the phone with you. That was kind of entertaining.
For the what time? How many
Like
times
third,
now?
I think it's my third time getting locked out of the house. But let me explain. We live in a very this is probably not I no longer am leaving the house with the door being unlocked, not bringing a key. That's my resolution to this. I'll start with that. But we live in a relatively safe neighborhood, and I go on walks throughout the day because I work from home, so I just need to get out, stretch my legs, get some steps in. And I typically will call Adam once, twice. I'll go morning and then lunch. And I
It's
never
my
bring my
new wake up call, by the way. Is
Yeah, I
now
know
you
it is.
calling me? Yeah, 7:30 in the morning or 8 in the morning.
Yeah. But I know Roy's in the house and he's up and awake, and I'm not, his office faces the walk up steps. So if anybody tries to walk up to the door, he'll see them or whatever. So I just leave and just don't lock the door and come back in and then, go back to work or whatever. Well, yesterday I did that, not thinking anything of it. And I come back on the phone with you and I'm like, what the fuck? The door's locked. So I ring the doorbell, nothing. Knock on the door, nothing. Probably 10 minutes goes by. And of course, I have a fucking work call in 10 minutes. So I'm standing there being like, what the fuck am I going to do? I have this call. I should be inside right now. And he was taking a shower while I was trying to get in the house, of course. So he lets me in, and I'm just like, I was just annoyed. I was just like, I left the door unlocked. Why did you lock the door? And he's like, well, I let the cat in, let the cat in, closed the door, locked it, and then went back to work, not thinking anything of it. So I was annoyed. And then I was like, I mean, ultimately it is my fault, right? Like I didn't lock the door and I didn't bring a key when I went out on my walk, but I typically never do that anyways.
Right.
And it's never been an issue. But now that he's working an earlier schedule, he's up at the same time I'm at, like work or whatever. So now he's like I don't know, like I feel like my flow's messed up where he's been like getting up, getting ready for work. So he's not doing any, he's not whatever. So yeah, I was locked out, and now I always bring my key. So that was my fun. I don't know. Yesterday was just a shit show of a Monday. So
It's just one of those things too, where I'm like, he think to himself, I wonder why the door is unlocked. And maybe I
right.
shouldn't like that's how my brain would work. And I think that's how your brain works too. And I know that there are people who just don't think like that. And they would just default lock the door, just la 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 la.
Yeah, he had his earbuds in, was
Yeah.
going through the motions, opened the door, went to lock it, and then like never thought twice about it again. That's what he said. I'm like, I understand that. I'm not like super mad at you. I'm more frustrated at myself, but still like, what the fuck?
Yeah, no, what the fuck? You were what the fucking like quite a bit on the phone. Let me say that. Didn't you have to pee as well?
Oh, well, so I'm on my
You're in your
period. So I'm
too,
like
right? Yeah.
cramping, had to pee, have a call in 10 minutes. The door is locked and it's fucking cold outside. And I'm just like, wow. And it's Monday. Not that that's a big deal, but like, fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's lovely. Well, it's good that I think that maybe just he could also think about it before he locks it, but you bringing a key is a good idea as well.
Always going to bring a key. I'm not going to rely, I never did that before in Nashville. So it is a new thing that I've been doing since living here, but still.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not used to locking a door at all. So it's definitely, something odd for me. I mean, in my old house in Florida, I never locked the front door once in 11 years.
So if you came back and it was locked, you'd be like, well, I'm probably locked out.
Yeah, basically. Or I have to going through, I knew how to get into, through the sliding glass door or whatever, but that would probably, without trying to break it. So
yeah.
Although your house that you're living in is a little bit old, you probably could have
I wasn't going to do that though. I thought about it and I was like, it's not that serious. He'll answer the phone or a text message, but I was just surprised that he wasn't after I had like texted a couple times and called and rang the doorbell. I'm like, what the fuck? And he wasn't in his office because I could see through the window. I was like, where the fuck is he? And of course he was in the shower. So
and your neighbors probably thought there was some brightly colored vagrant just wandering around trying to break into the house. Especially if you're wearing that coat. Were you wearing that really brightly colored coat?
I was wearing my bright coat. And of course it's the time where there's just a lot of walkers in my neighborhood just on their daily walks. And I'm like, fuck, they're all looking at me weird. I'm like, trust me, I live here. I'm not trying to break into my own house. Well, kind of, but no, it's fine. Everything's fine.
Oh my God. Anything else going on in your life?
I mean, I've been posting a lot online about the hot girl walk that I went on with a bunch of other girls in Seattle on Sunday. So it was a really good event. After joining a Facebook group, they host walking meetups every Sunday, and the weather was actually nice this past weekend. And I wasn't going to go when it was rainy and shitty because, at least from hearing from some of the other girls, those walks kind of suck and they're like drenched by the end of them. And I was like, yeah. So it was sunny and I went, and I actually met a lot of cool people there, and I'm excited to, from the group, I probably connected with like 4 or 5 people that I really vibed with, because we went on the walk and then we ended up having brunch all together. So the brunch was a really good opportunity to sit down and have more conversations versus when we were walking. It was kind of hard to intermingle with other people just because everyone was walking at different paces and stuff.
Yeah.
But from there, I exchanged social media with all of those girls, and I think we're gonna like meet up and try to go to a comedy club or do another brunch
Oh God,
thing.
don't do that, please.
No.
No, groups of women going to comedy clubs are always terrible. It's like bachelorette parties going to comedy club. I feel like it's always a terrible experience
Really?
because they're there to socialize. They're not there to actually watch the comedian.
See, that was my one thought when she's super nice, but she suggested it because she's been wanting to go to a comedy show. And I was like, I mean, it feels like a movie scenario where
Yeah.
you're just going to sit there and watch something and you'll talk before and after. I suggested next time we just skip the walk and just do brunches around Seattle, which I think would be a really fun concept. It'd be probably for a small group, it works, but to start a group of, 20, 30 girls going to brunch around Seattle every weekend would probably be a lot to organize. But I think it's a fun idea that I'd like to try out, at least with a smaller group.
That's cool. Do you think that having it called a hot girl walk would turn off some people from attending? Like some women might see it and just think that it's either feel already excluded because of their own reservations or something like that.
I don't think so. No one seemed to care about the title. I guess you're not on the side of TikTok that mentions going on a hot girl walk every day type of.
I've never,
No.
yeah.
No, so like
I've
that.
heard like, a hot girl summer and things like that, but that's about it.
Yeah, so it kind of started last year or maybe a year before of the hot girl walk of just wearing your Hoka tennis shoes and putting in your AirPods and buying the Bala armbands. You have no idea what I'm talking about, but
This
buying
is
like
all
the
foreign language to me.
wristbands that are weighted and going on a hot girl walk and getting some sunshine and just vibing and being hot basically. But it's
Okay.
just a term for just going on a walk. But there's been a lot of other cities. I've seen it on social media, at least for like Dallas, Houston, and New York, that they have like hot girl walk clubs. I suppose that's what you could call it. But it's like, instead of where we had probably 25 people show up, they have a couple hundred people show up. So a lot bigger scale. This one just started in August by someone who actually moved from Nashville to Seattle in August of last year. So she's relatively new to the city as well, and she wanted to find a way to make friends. So she started this group. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. So it's still relatively new for the area, but I think it'll grow over time. And of course, not everyone's going to make it every single weekend either.
Right. And then like 30 years from now, that'll just be the mall walking group.
Right?
Yes.
Let's walk the malls inside. It's too cold or too rainy. Yeah.
That's right. Wearing the same clothes.
Right. But I still thought it was fun, and I'll go to another one. Honestly though, and from when I moved to Nashville and going to all the blogging events, I'd much rather do a hot girl walk event and a brunch than attend another blogger meetup ever again in my life.
Yes, I know how you feel about that, and I don't blame you at all.
Yeah.
Blogger meetups are some of the they're generally terrible. I found that I would find 1 or 2 people out of 30 to 40 that were worth talking to, and that would be about it.
Well, I think that everyone was just kind of measuring up and judging like their competition or whatever. And honestly, maybe it was a Nashville vibe too, because I was thinking if this same event was held in Nashville, I definitely think the vibe would be different and more of like, I don't know, just I didn't have, obviously I don't live in Nashville anymore, so I didn't have a great experience while I lived there in certain aspects. And one of them was meeting new people, and the vibe of the city was just very heavily influencer based and not as real conversations. And yes, I documented, going on the hot girl walk, and I took a couple clips throughout the walk or whatever. But for the most part, no one was on their phones. Everyone was talking and engaging with one another, and it was just real conversation. Nobody gave a fuck of how many followers do you have, what's this, what's that, and it just felt more real. Now, that's not to say that I didn't vibe. I didn't vibe with everybody, and that's just personality wise, but
Sure.
everyone was off their phone. Everyone just wanted to connect in a genuine way, and it's a feeling that I didn't get when I lived in Nashville, which was really positive.
Oh, I mean, that's good. And that sounds like promising for the future.
Yeah. So, yay, making friends.
Look at Sarah making friends.
Trying. I'm out
How
here.
exciting.
Speaking of making friends, let's shout out some new countries of new friends of the podcast. This week we have Malaysia, Zimbabwe, Poland, and Latvia to call out. So thank you, new listeners from those 4 countries, and of course, all of our listeners from around the world.
Absolutely. And we have, before we finish out this this section of the podcast, this episode, we have a caller who called into our DKS hotline. And if you want to call and leave a voicemail with your question about dating, sex, relationships, anything at all, you can do so. We'd love for your calls. So please feel free to call in at 407-519-0181. And that number is in the show notes. So if you're listening right now and you're driving or something, you can always click on it in the show notes later. That's 407-519-0181. You can call into our hotline, leave a voicemail, and we will play it and answer your question. So this coming up is a call from Suzanne.
I'm listening to your groundhogging podcast right now because that's what I've done my entire 40 years of dating. I date the same kind of guys and end up with the same result. Duh. And I don't want to do that anymore. I tend to date toxic men. They're alcoholics, drug addicts, guys with very low self-esteem because, yeah, I have issues, and guys with low self-esteem won't bail on me. Working on that in trauma therapy. But, yeah, my main question is, at my age, which, okay, yeah, I'm 58, how do I begin dating in this whole different world of dating?
Hi, Suzanne, and thank you for the call. Appreciate it. I think that one of the first great steps you can do is realize that you're doing something wrong. And if for those of you who don't know, groundhogging is like Groundhog Day, where you just keep repeating the same mistakes over and over and over again. Now that you know that you're doing it, the next step is stopping. And I would say instead of focusing on where do I find and how do I date the non-toxic men, maybe focus on your issues related to abandonment and maybe build up your confidence until you are at a spot where you know you don't need somebody in your life. Because once you reach that point where you're like, I'm all set, I'm happy as I am. If I find somebody who completes me in a good way, then so be it. Once you're at that point, it'll be a lot easier for you to really recognize those red flags in men as soon as they present them, and you can send those toxic guys packing before you have any time or emotional investment.
Yeah, I really agree with everything you just said, Adam. And I also think it's important that, you're learning the pattern and you want to change, and what's going on right now isn't working. And again, just taking time to find yourself and improve will only make it easier as you continue to date. But just taking the extra time out to say, okay, what can I do to be more self-confident, to be a stronger individual, and then go back to dating when you're ready and when it feels better. Because then you're like, okay, I know what I don't want to attract now, and I will attract the opposite of that, and it'll be a lot easier.
Absolutely. And that is DKS Hotline. Once again, you can call and leave your voicemail at 407-519-0181. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, it's going to be a variation on what to see with Sarah G. Yes.
A special episode of it.
Where I'm taking over. So you don't want to miss that. Do you want to lead it in there?
Yeah, I'll lead into this.
Okay.
Okay. This week, Adam is doing the What to See with Sarah G, and he is covering Las Vegas, Nevada. But instead of calling it What to See with Sarah G this week, we're going to call it What's Drinkable with Adam Heath.
That's right. Exactly.
Which I think is great.
Yeah, there we go. Because, I saw things, but I drank a lot more. So yeah, let's dive right into this. First of all, Las Vegas is good for 3 days max. If you're going to stay longer than that, you need to get out of the town for a little bit. Like, and I don't even like going out of town, like to do things, but like go to the Hoover Dam or go to the Botanical Gardens, go like just out into nature for a little bit, just to get out of the total mind fuckery that is Las Vegas, because that's what it is. And I was there for my birthday. I've been there multiple times before. But like this city never closes. It never shuts down. And if you're there more than 3 days, you will go insane. So take a break. Secondly, if you're going to go to Vegas, spend the money on the accommodations. Don't stay somewhere cheap. It's not worth it. I stayed at the Venetian. I stayed in the Prestige Club level, which is only a few dollars more per night. So it wasn't like a huge increase over their normal suites. I came with a free continental breakfast, which was actually pretty decent, even if it was a little bit, less bacon, as in zero bacon the entire time. No bacon.
That's what Continental is.
I know, but Continental, no, they had eggs and they had, sausages sometimes, and they had other things, but they had like eggs Benedict. They had all types of, but never like a tray of bacon. That's all I wanted. One morning, I just wanted to walk down there and have a tray of fucking bacon, but they didn't have that. But they also did offer an open bar cocktail hour for 3 hours every afternoon, which was pretty fucking incredible. Like just open bar, and they were really quick with service too. So I was impressed with that, and the food was good. That the cocktail hour had like little hors d'oeuvres and everything too, and then like an early check-in, so you didn't have to check in at 4. You could check in like I think 7 a.m., which was actually pretty decent. So even if you are the type who just wants to go in Vegas, you're going to need a time to take a nap. I guarantee you that. And so you want to be somewhere comfortable. You want to be somewhere good with a good view, somewhere where you can order room service if you don't want to go out for a little bit. And so spend the money on the accommodation, stay on the strip. It's worth the money. Now let's get into Vegas itself. You could literally talk for hours about everything. I mean, you could have just an entire, there's so much to do, so much to eat, so much to drink, so much to just see, but I'm going to focus on my trip and what I personally recommend for my type of visit. Now, the Avitable type of visit is going to be different from a Sarah type of visit. Let me put it that way. And if you like to gamble, I don't really have anything for you because I don't gamble really. I spent $200, I think, gambling the entire time. But if you are going to gamble, one thing I would say is to pick a casino, walk in, exchange the max amount of money you want to spend, whether it's $10,000, whatever, for chips, and sign up for their rewards, and then go start gambling. They're going to pay attention to you. They're going to give you rewards. They're going to really reward you pretty quickly with free drinks, free foods, room, dinner, everything. They're going to want you to never leave. And there's no rule that says you can't just immediately go spend $500 there, get all the rewards, and then cash out all of your chips and never gamble the entire rest of your trip. So just a little trick there. I visited Vegas with a Vice article in mind, and so that might tell you a little bit about my version of Vegas. The author attempted to find the diviest dive bar in Vegas, and my traveling companion wanted to check out some of the speakeasies and some of the places that may be a little less touristy. So we went to a couple places, and here's the few places that are worth our time. Number one was the Ghost Donkey in the Cosmopolitan. Cosmopolitan's a pretty cool little casino, but they have a speakeasy on their second floor. You go up into the casino, head to the food court, and then in the back left of the food court, there's like an emergency exit door that has a sticker of a donkey on it. And you go into that, and it looks weird because it looks like you're going to set the alarm off or something. But inside there is a cool little tequila bar that serves drinks and mezcal drinks as well, and food. I'm not a tequila person. I don't do tequila after a long night with strippers one night. But my friend who did, she gave it 2 thumbs up. They had real Mexican Coke though. So I had one of those, and that was really good. Oh, nice. It gets packed, but we were there for 30 minutes and it emptied out nicely as well. There are a few other speakeasies in the Cosmopolitan. I think that's kind of their thing that it seemed like they try to do. We didn't get to any of them, but I checked them out on another trip if I could. Especially there's one that's inside their oddities and curiosities shop that is pretty cool. Other than the Ghost Donkey, we did not drink on the strip at all, except for the free cocktail hour. Just didn't even bother because it just wasn't worth it. We went to downtown Las Vegas, which I had never been. I'd been to Vegas probably maybe 8 times before. I've never been downtown. And I tried out the Griffith and Corduroy, 2 bars that were next to each other. They're both very cool, suitable, reasonable prices, fast service, good drinks. I recommend checking them out if you're looking for something just normal. And then also off strip, another good normal one was Atomic Liquors, and that was one of my 2 favorite bars, Atomic Liquors and Dino's. Atomic Liquors is tourist friendly, good drink prices, good looking food menu, but we were there before the kitchen opened at 3, so we didn't actually get to try it, but it looked and sounded good. Dino's is the place that I want to live and die in. It is a dive bar that is open 24 hours a day, and I immediately felt like I was home in there. I think we went in there at like 11:30 in the morning. It was pretty good. It started off our Sunday pretty well there, and we missed out on the evening karaoke, but I heard it was insane from the manager, and she said the bar is just generally insane, and I could just live there. Like that is a bar that I want to go to every time I'm going to be in Vegas now. I'll be like, we're going to Dino's, and I might not leave Dino's. Like, well, let's just go to Dino's at 8 in the morning, and I'll just stay till 4 in the afternoon. Yeah. And then the last stop on our trip was a memorable one. It was the strip club called the Peppermint Hippo. That is right, the Peppermint Hippo. There were several strip clubs we consider visiting, and there are apparently 2 types in Vegas. There's a no liquor, fully nude for like type of club, and then there's the alcohol served and they're like topless type of club. I have tried one of the no liquor, fully nude ones before in Tampa. It's called Mons Venus, and I remember that distinctly because I was there with a girlfriend, and there were people getting dances all around, fully nude. Not the customers, just the dancers, and the dancers had to put quarters into the jukebox for when it was their turn to dance, and so they always just kept the music going constantly. But one dancer had forgotten to put her quarters in one time, so the music just abruptly stopped, and then all you heard was just the sound of like naked flesh grinding against like denim. It was just like this shrap, 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 just sound just all around us. It was just like some type of multi-mouth monster, just like it was disgusting and terrible, and not a sound that anybody should ever have to listen to again. So we decided to skip those types of places and went into the liquor served with a topless bar, strip club instead. We did try at a place called Play It Again Sam's, by the way. It was too sad. I'm not even mentioning it. Just too sad to say anything. Just never go there. Please don't go there. It was really that sad. But Peppermint Hippo is yeah. Peppermint, I know. Like the Vice article talked about it, and I was like, "Oh, cool, a dive bar strip club." No, this was not a dive bar strip club. This was just like this is where like dreams go to die strip club. Like it was that sad.
Oh God.
Peppermint Hippo is, according to the rumors, is the owner thumbing his nose at his former partners and owners over at the Spearmint Rhino, which is a very well-known establishment. Also a weird name when you think about it, Spearmint Rhino, but Peppermint Hippo is also weird. The name and the giant metal hippo sculpture in the lobby notwithstanding, it was very luxurious. And yes, there's a giant full-size hippopotamus in the lobby made out of metal. It is insane. Cover charges are supposedly $50 to get in per person, but the door guy and I had a good conversation, and he let us in for free with a free drink. And then the club was cool, very slow I know it worked out well. The club was cool, very slow during the afternoon. There's a football game that everybody was watching instead. We stayed till it got a little busier. Kept doing shots, kept drinking a lot more. Got way too drunk. I fell in love, and then I spent way too much money in the private room. And I feel bad.
This is what to see.
This is what this. And then and I even abandoned my traveling companion for like 45 minutes. I was just gone, and she was just sitting there. I felt so bad.
Hang on, I got it. Sorry, this fucking cat.
But yeah, I spent way too much money in the private room. I abandoned my companion, my traveling friend. I felt so bad. She was sitting there for like 45 minutes, and I just disappeared and came back with a lot less money and a lot more alcohol in me, and lipstick in weird places. But anyways, that's a story for a whole other time. I only recommend this place if you just wanted to like go spend if you just have a shitload of money you just want to spend, go there. Like just go spend it. Don't plan on recouping any of it. But otherwise, go to Dino's. Like Dino's is just, next time you go to Vegas, just everyone needs to go to Dino's. Well, then you might ask, well, Adam, what about food? Did you not eat during the 3 days you were there? You know what? Go to fucking Zaggett's if you want food recommendations. All right. Like I'm not a foodie. I'm like Sarah, like I'm not like, I don't care. I ordered a $60 fucking room service pizza from the Venetian. That was delicious. Like they gave me a literal bowl of ranch, like to dip it in. So which was fantastic. But that's the type of food I got. Like we grabbed like food court food every night when we were drunk coming in. Like I went to Fat Burger like 3 times in the lobby of the Venetian, and ordered subs when we were at Dino's that they delivered right to the smoky dive bar that I ate, which means I could literally just live at Dino's. Like you can order food right there. Like it's pretty much perfect. It'd be great. I did a little sightseeing. Not as much as I would have liked, but I just was getting annoyed with too many people. The Mafia Museum was very cool. It was very well put together. Like they put a lot of effort into it, and there are way too many fucking people for me to ever go again. Like it was too obnoxious, and I would not suggest anyone go there during any type of busy season whatsoever. Wait till like a Tuesday afternoon or something and then go. I tried to go to the Neon Boneyard. I really wanted to see all the cool neon and everything like that, but they weren't quite open yet, and I was not patient enough to wait.
What?
And yeah.
I've always
And
wanted to go
oh yeah, I
there.
really want to go, but like we were there like 1:30. Like, oh well, we open at 2. And we've got a wedding photo shoot here or whatever. And I'm like, all right, well, let's go to a bar. So we went to Atomic Liquors nearby to drink. And then by then we're like, fuck it, we're not going back. Like it's done. We already started drinking for the day. We had
Oh,
not drank
Adam.
up to that point because we're like, let's go be active and do something. And that was it. That was the end of the day. And other than that, like every casino on the strip is a spectacle worth beholding. And it's worth sightseeing, but the best type of sightseeing you can do is just in your underwear, standing at the hotel room window, many floors up, just surveying the strip, just completely half naked. That's what I would recommend. It's much safer, less people, and more comfortable.
Nice.
So there we go.
We had very different Vegas experiences,
Yes, we
and
did.
some of those things I didn't experience, but it sounds like overall go to Dino's.
Yep, there we go.
And drink. Yeah.
That's it. Go to Dino's. Just like go to Dino's. I mean, we drank like for hours, and I think my bill was like $14. Like, yeah, that's my type of place right there. So there we go. That's
Nice.
what's drinkable with Avitable, which might be when I eventually hit the road again in the spring. We'll maybe make it an occasional thing as I hit new places.
Yeah. Where's the dive bar Adam's at now?
That's right, exactly. So, all right, well, let's go ahead and take a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about how to date while you're broke.
With recent layoffs being in the news, being all over my LinkedIn, and then of course the recession and just a lot of money things that people are talking about lately of how to cut costs and things like that. I thought it was, valuable to talk about dating if you don't have money. I know we've talked about dating and how money plays into relationships and things like that, but this is coming from a perspective of if you're still wanting to date, how to date in a way that could work for both parties and how you should approach it if you might have been impacted from layoffs or, are, pinching pennies right now and trying to save up money, just given what's going on in our economy right now. I know you and I have both had times of struggling and, having to pick up extra work or, cut back on things. And I think that's just, money comes and goes in life. So how people can kind of handle that. And yeah.
Right. And I think that, dating has evolved and women have evolved when it comes to dating. And unfortunately, I think there's a large group of men who have not evolved as much when it comes to dating. And that can make things a little more frustrating. And what I mean by that is that, dating used to be essentially a show of wealth. Like that was what dating was, because there was this idea that men provided and women were taken care of. And so of course, you'd pick nice dates and you'd be trying to wow somebody and show off your wealth, essentially peacocking, by just like because how long ago was it? It was less than 50 years ago, women couldn't buy real estate without men's permission. Like it's not that long ago. Like this is something that affected, like like our parents and grandparents very much. Women could not buy real estate, so money was very important because you, as a man, you had to show that you could provide. So you show by going on, spending this money on this date, trying to, pay all the bills.
That's an attractive quality.
Right. And what has happened as dating has evolved, of course, is that now women are more financially, capable. Women are financially independent. Women aren't necessarily looking for someone to pay their bills or need someone to be a provider. And so now they're looking for new traits in men, emotional intelligence and empathy, and someone who can have a conversation and someone they actually want to spend time with, not somebody they need because they can't buy a house.
Or get a credit card.
Or get a credit card.
Yeah,
right. Exactly.
Bank account. Yeah.
Or any of these things. And so I think that, plenty of men have taken understood this and started to evolve into, realize this, but there's still this large group of men that think that, no, women need providers and that's my job, and and everything, and they get mad that women are like, I don't need that anymore. And so I think it's important to talk about, that if you don't have money, and this is me saying this to men, that if you don't have money, it doesn't mean that you're incapable of finding a match. It doesn't mean that you're not a good person for a relationship. It doesn't mean that that you're not going to be someone that a woman is going to find isn't going to that you will be somebody that a woman's going to find interesting. You can be somebody. It doesn't mean that all your chances are fucked.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important thing for men to hear right now, because there are so many disgusting men out there like Andrew Tate who are like, look at me and my 33 Bugattis and me being in prison for sex trafficking. But they're using their wealth as this is how you get women, that is you have to have wealth and you have to have money. And I think that women value a lot more than money nowadays. Wouldn't you say?
Yes, but I won't say all women, at the same time, there are a group of women who want men who have X amount of dollars in their bank account and who will be showboaty. I know those. Don't shake your head. I do know women like that, or like, oh, if he wasn't making this salary, I don't know how interested I'd be in him. I have had conversations with pretty shallow individuals. I'm not saying it's all, whatever, but it's not just men.
Right.
There are women out there who, for a long time, it's like the traditional thing of, if I'm going to go on a first date with a man, he's going to take me to a nice restaurant and he's going to spend money on me because that's my expectation when I go out. There are those people out there who still exist.
There are, but I guess we're talking. I guess when I say like what women are looking for, I'm looking at emotionally healthy women who are good partners, like people you'd want to be a partner with. I don't think anybody would ever want to be a partner with a woman who would have that attitude. Like, she's not going to be a healthy partner. She's not going to be somebody who's going to ever be someone like interesting to date either.
Oh, I agree with you on that.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, like, when you were going on about men being a certain way, there's a smaller population of women who do expect men to have money to pay for things for them, because they see that as like a traditional value that they expect.
Yeah. Okay. That's
and not to say, like, I have come obviously from a very traditional background, and I used to think, like, dating someone who has a certain job, who makes certain money, is more attractive. And that's been obviously deconstructed over the years of going like, that's not everything. I do want more. And I think as a society, women are realizing, hey, I can make money, and hey, I don't have to have a guy who drives a certain car or takes me on a fancy date or spends X amount of money. But I think when I was younger, and that was more of, I didn't know what I was doing with dating, and I was kind of just following what I thought was the thing. That was the direction that I followed, was, oh, he's spending a lot of money on dates. He must really like me. He must be a really good guy. And turns out through learning, he was a piece of shit. So yes, I think definitely the tides are turning, but let's turn everybody that direction. Not everyone's there yet.
You're right. Society, and that is an aspect of society that has been changing too. And so you learn, and I think that women learn that the men who use that money and have that money aren't usually the best people to match with anyways, because then
what's their motive?
Right. What's their motive? But also, if they think the money's all they have to provide, like, I provide the money. Why do I have to be?
Why do I have to clean?
Why do I have to participate in the household? Why do I have to be there emotionally for you? Why do I have to communicate? Like, they see money as a substitute for things. And so I think so many women even women who have felt like that, start to see that the more that they date. And then, and I think so. And then there's a lot of men who have started to realize that women need more than just the providing now. And so maybe they're trying to actually develop themselves emotionally and intelligently in other ways too. So when you're broke, you can still date. When you don't have money, yes, you can still date. Yes, you can still have success in dating. Will you find these occasional outliers of people that might combat you on this? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Are those people worth your time?
Absolutely not.
Right.
Yeah, no. And that's the important part, is like, if you're honest, say you're on a dating app or whatever, and you're talking about going on a first date, and you're honest, saying, hey, I was just laid off from my job a couple weeks ago, or, hey, given times are rough right now, how about let's do this instead of insert fancy event or something here. If they go, oh, well, fuck you, if their response is like, oh, well, I want to do this at this restaurant or this bar, and my expectation is you're dropping $100 on the night. That's not the person that you should be going on a date with, because they don't have the empathy to understand, hey, they want to meet me, but I don't want to change my ways. So that they're not the person for you. And you could definitely find people who are willing to make it work and who are understanding of your situation and that you can actually really get along with.
Yeah, because I think a lot of any type of good relationship is going to come out of good communication. And if you're already communicating at a level where you're on completely different standards of what constitutes fun and what constitutes a good time, then I think that can be difficult too. And I know that there's going to be the debate that we've never even resolved, and we usually resolve most ways. Yes, who pays?
Yeah.
And there's so many different arguments for it, and then there really is, like, there's this argument, well, if we're equal and we're trying to promote equality and equity, then each person should either pay for themselves or or whatever, whoever asks should pay.
Right.
But then there's the also thought of, well, after the literal decades of oppression and systemic misogyny and everything that basically women have been through, and the effort that women put into getting ready versus what men do, and the costs of it, what it costs for a woman to get ready to go out on a date versus what it costs a man, that even with whoever asks, the man should still be prepared to pay. And it's not sexist, it's still so there's also that. And then so, like, there are obviously, and then there's the thought that you should always split, because women want to always split because they never want a man to think that they're owed something, because they pay for something. So there's all these different things. So we're not going to try to resolve that.
We're not resolving that today.
Yeah,
we're going to try to make, if you've experienced, some financial hardship over the past few months, or, things change in the next year or so, how to still date while struggling financially and being able to do it in a way that you feel respected, in your dating situation, and you feel comfortable still going out on dates and talking about your financial situation with the person that you're trying to talk to.
Yep. Yeah. You should not be ashamed to talk about it. And it's okay. People have had ups and downs. The pandemic alone has, thrown everybody for a loop, and even people who have felt otherwise secure are having issues. So it's okay to talk about it honestly. Let's start with some of the ways that you can kind of still have a great time dating. And I think that the first point, and then this was a good point by Sarah that she put in our agenda here, is don't spend money you don't have. Like, don't see it as you're trying to impress the person. So you put in all this effort, all of this money into trying to, impress somebody and go on this first couple of amazing dates. And then also be like, well, that was that. I just tapped out all my credit cards. And so now I don't have anything else to do. Because that, first of all, it makes you look manipulative. And secondly, it's much less impressive by the third date, and so
it feels like you're tricked.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
If he never mentions from the beginning that he has, and I'm not saying on the first date you have to say, hey, I'm broke as shit, I shouldn't be on this date. I think, there's a right way to go about it. But if you're spending a lot of money on the first couple of dates, and then you say, yeah, we can't do any of these nice things anymore because I don't have any money, she's going to be like, I wouldn't have minded if we had done other things. I wish you would have just been honest with me, instead of basically feeling like I was just lied to, because now I feel like we were going to do all these nice things. Like, what's going on here? And it's going to make her question how honest you're going to be in a relationship with her. So don't do that.
Yes, exactly. Because if she's already calling your honesty into question, then that's not going to end well. And so that's, I think that's a very important first step. And secondly, and I want to say this to the women, I know that there's women out there who have said, I don't mind paying, it doesn't bother me. I don't mind splitting it, but I wouldn't go on another day with them if they do that. Have you seen that before, Sarah? I've seen TikToks and stuff with the women.
Yeah. That was his one chance to prove to me, and I'm done after this. Yeah.
I want to say to women, like, if you do feel that way, I really want you to try to assess why you feel that way, because that's like basically you being programmed by society. You deciding that makes him less of a man or less of a good partner because of things. And if you really feel like that, you don't mind paying, but you're going to think less of him. that does make me think less of you. And like, I want you to really assess why you need to feel that way, and maybe how you can stop being like judgmental in that sense, and maybe try to be a little bit more empathetic, because that's a lack of empathy on your part. And that's a little bit of toxic femininity on your part too, like, which is basically the woman's version of toxic masculinity, where you're like, well, it's not a very manly thing. If you're
Yep.
trying to gatekeep what being a man is, that's something you should work through on your own. Let's avoid first dates being dinners.
We've been saying, I mean, for multiple reasons, not
We say
only
that
the
all the time, but
financial
yes,
side,
yeah.
but other reasons of it's a longer date and all of that. But yeah, why would you put yourself in that situation if you can't really afford it in the first place? You're at least going to spend $50, let's say.
Right.
At least
At
nowadays.
least. Yeah. So with drinks and everything, and if you go out to dinner, you don't want to be like cheap about it. You don't want to be like, okay, we can go out, but we can only have one drink each and no appetizers. Like, you don't want to do that.
Then like, why am I going out?
Yeah.
Like, that's
if
weird.
You're going to enjoy going out, you want to be able to go out and just be like, let's go have fun and not worry about it, not stress about what the final bill is going to be. So, and that's just smart for, like I said, with a variety of reasons. You don't want to get stuck with somebody for 3 hours, and you also don't want to end up spending money on that. And I just think dinner is just not a good first date anymore. Like, it used to be the big thing, dinner and the idea of a movie and things like that. And I think over time, we're trying to get to know people, but we now are learning what the red flags are and learning what our chemistry is. And you can learn those things and see those things so quickly that you don't need to spend 2 hours, 3 hours with somebody. You can spend, an hour at a bar and immediately see what's, if there's any chemistry.
Right. And just going back to the finance side of things, there are other options that don't include spending at least $50 for a first date, and communicating early on, hey, let's do this free event, or let's, talk about splitting the bill, or let's walk around this farmer's market and maybe we'll spend $20 on buying a drink and like a little, food stand thing here, and it won't be that expensive, and it'll probably be more fun because you're in an ever-changing environment versus just at a table sitting across from somebody.
Yep. So what other, you said walking around a farmer's market, what other
Farmer's market
would you consider or suggest?
I would check out, your city's calendar of events, especially like spring or summertime, if there's any kind of music series they have going on. Or I know back in Nashville, there was like a First Friday event where there was an art and wine walk, which was all free. So you could go into all of these studios and they would just hand you alcohol for free. And then, if you wanted to pop in and get food, you'd spend the money on the food for, $20 for a little thing here or there. But to walk around and be around other people and drink in the street was totally free. You just show your ID. So that was a fun event. Cooking a meal, obviously not the first date, but cooking a meal at home, going to the grocery store, which I know groceries are more expensive now, but picking a meal that could be fun for you to both cook together. That was like a pandemic thing that Roy and I did that I actually really enjoyed. And I don't really like cooking, but like we made sushi for the first time, and that was a fun date activity.
And that probably cost a lot less than 50. I mean, you buy groceries,
right?
Like $25, it'll serve, make a pretty good sized meal for 2 people.
And then you buy, a $15 bottle of wine, which is cheaper than, spending a couple glasses of wine at a restaurant. So there's ways to make it work and still be fun. You could even do, obviously not a hike on a first date, but you could go on walks in a park if that's something where you want to be outside. It's honestly like hacking your brain, how I had to do in the pandemic, of like, what could be fun? A picnic outside, some kind of outdoor activities. Obviously, once it's spring and once the weather's nicer, will be a lot easier to do, but things like that.
And it is funny because most of the free date ideas are all things that I hate.
Oh, well.
But like,
you like one thing though. You're the type of person who likes one thing.
like
You
one
want to
thing, that's
go
true.
to a bar and drink. You're not open to a lot of other things.
You sound like an alcoholic, by the way. Let me just say that I haven't.
I know you're not. I know you're not.
I haven't had anything to drink since I left Vegas, and I probably won't. I only drink occasionally, but when I go on dates, yes, it's the social.
But you have that comfort. It's the comfort of knowing, like, at least the activity and you feel comfortable doing that. It's karaoke in a bar, which is totally fine if that's your thing, and you can find a way to have that fit within your budget. Fine, but I'm saying, if you're trying to actually stretch your dollar and try things other than spending money on meals or things like that, these are some alternatives that could still be fun.
Right. And so then I was trying to think of other things because I hate walks. Like, I hate trying to walk and talk. I hate going to museums unless, it's not my thing, these just, and I
The
know there's,
museums is a good one though. I mean, you could check your calendar at your city, and if you have like, I know for Bank of America, you can like every first, I think it's a first Friday thing too. They have free museums that you can visit, and Seattle has that as well, where each week there's free museums you can check out. And sure, it's on a Wednesday night or whatever, but if you plan that with your partner or whatever, that could be fun. Not
here's the
for
problem.
Adam, but for
Yeah, I mean,
me.
here's the problem I have with museums too, is that you both have to either be going at the same pace or you just don't care about the person that you're with, and you're just like, you're either into it and you're reading every exhibit and you're like really in, or it's not something you're into, in
It's
which case
free. You're not going to be fully invested. You're going to be
just go
invested.
stand on a street corner then, in that case,
But you want to feel like you're doing something with the other person. So you walk by, you look at this art and you go, oh, that's cool. Or, oh, that really sucks. You talk about why, and then you go to the next one.
Right.
You'll learn a lot about their style. It's a learning experience for multiple reasons, getting to know them just one-on-one, and then also how they interact in a certain environment.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's true. But then you also have to go through a museum at the same time. So
Well, if you're negative like Adam, don't take him to a museum.
So-
Don't go there. It's
So then
fun.
I was trying to think of other things too. I was like, what are the things that like I would be willing to do? And I feel like there's what I feel like not the better option, another option. If you are
There you go.
lazy, set in his ways, cranky old man, is to have the first date. The first date, go to a bar, meet up for a bar somewhere that's reasonable prices that you can afford to, buy the first round, and then see where the night goes. After you get through the first date and they're comfortable with you, that's when you offer, come over for a movie night. That's when you offer, let's go to the pool.
Hot tub. Yeah.
Hot tub. Like that's when you offer the things, and not in an attempt to try to like get laid. Like you just here's a date thing we can do that's free. Let's come over, have a drink, have dinner, no expectations, but then it's here, it's very very cheap, very much on whatever budget works. Let's go to the hot tub, bring drinks, let's go sit in the hot tub and talk for for an hour. And so those types of things I think are kind of where I look like spend the initial money for the for the dive bar drinks, and because once again for me, if somebody's not into dive bars, or they want someone that's like they only go to classy bars, we're not gonna get along great anyways. So like I want someone who's gonna like be like, yeah, I'll show up at that bar, and then and then we have a couple drinks, you get to know each other, you have that comfort level, and then you can kind of like after you've met, then they can assess whether or not it's it's reasonable to come over to your general area.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thought process on that.
No, it's not a bad thought process. I'm just providing other options that are outside of your normal. That's
healthy, like actual options. Like those are probably more emotionally healthy options. What Sarah's offering, just so you know. But
neither are wrong. It's just you have a style. It's like your style.
Yeah, I know.
You have one, and you kind of stay in that lane. But
stick to that basically. Yeah, like glue.
If you date someone who wants to be a little bit more adventurous, know those are other options outside of your typical.
True.
Yeah.
And I would say in the meantime too, then, dating doesn't have to be just in person. You can also try to have phone calls with the person, have, like you can do things where, if you can't for some reason get together, FaceTime, stuff like that. I know things like Disney Plus and Netflix and everything. And they also have that new family, you're in a group viewing thing where you can like you sign in with two people or whatever, and you can watch a movie simultaneously from your separate locations, and stuff like that, which can be fun as well.
Yeah.
So there are other options as well, other than what Sarah and I said, but I don't know, who knows. If you're too broke, like if you're so like literally, I think if you are so broke that you can't even go to a bar to meet for a round of drinks,
don't go. Don't date.
Then maybe
right
don't date right now. Like, and not because you shouldn't be dating or you're not a worthwhile person to date or anything like that. Just maybe just save up and just, save your time for other things. Like, it's okay. You don't always have to be dating.
Yeah.
Dating should be a fun experience. It should be something you enjoy doing. And if you're stressing about it to that level, then it's okay not to do it. Like you're not a productive member of society if you don't do it. Like, it's okay. So that, I think it's an important thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, you can reprioritize and date later once things feel more stable. And I think that's the most important thing is like if you're not up for it because you need to focus on, applying for more jobs or whatever, or getting back on your feet, you're allowed to do that and not date.
Yes.
But if you want to, if things have been rough and you still want to date, it's okay to want to go on a couple dates as well.
Yeah.
You have those options, but if you're stressed about it, don't stress yourself out even more by feeling like you also need to go on a date to impress someone, because both of you are going to have a bad time. You're going to be counting pennies and making sure everything's together, and they're going to feel that energy. So you want to be in a good headspace.
Yes. Yeah. There's nothing worse than going on a date and just like as you're sitting there just thinking to yourself, okay, let's see if with tip, how much is that going to end up being?
And that's going to cut into my monthly budget.
All right, how much do I have on this card? How much do I have on this card? How and I've been to that spot, and it is a stressful situation.
Yeah. But you're always thinking like, why did I put myself in this situation to begin with?
Yeah. Yeah. You're like, why?
At least for me, I'm like,
I wasn't even
that was
right
dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was dumb. So to prevent that, just don't be on the apps or do something that's not going to cost a lot of money. We always say this. It always stems back to like being honest and transparent and self-reflection of going, maybe not the best time. Maybe I should be honest about where I stand right now. And that's okay. I've always thought of like, I worked with this really elderly, not super elderly, but this older woman who gave really good advice when I was, 22, 23, making garbage money. And she said, she's like, money is like a river. Sometimes the river is like really flowing and full of water, and other times it's drying up and more in a drought. And it just depends on the season that you're in. And she's like, you might not have a lot of money now, but you'll have money later. Like it'll all work itself out in the end. And when you have a lot of money, you might not have a lot of money down the road. So, just keep those things in mind. And I've always thought about that of like, okay, conserve and, it's always flowing. So don't think just because you're in this situation now, it's always going to be like this. Things will get better, and just take the steps to make sure that you're in a good spot in the future.
Absolutely. And I am sure that some of our listeners probably have some free date ideas that are better than what we came up with. Just because
more creative. Yeah,
more creative. Maybe some of our non-American listeners too, because I imagine that dating is going to be different in parts of Europe and Asia and Africa and all over, where maybe the cost is pretty non-prohibitive. And so I'd love to hear what some of them might have to think. So if you do have other like ways to date cheaply, some ideas for that, why don't you go ahead and let us know? You can email us at datingkindofsuckspodcast@gmail.com. You can also message us on Instagram at datingkindofsucks, or one of our personal Instagrams.
I know we're saying, I'm going to say like email us at datingkindofsuckspodcast@gmail.com, but also sign up for newsletters for companies that you want to spend money at, like if you're wanting to go to some event or whatever, sign up for their newsletters and see if they have any deals going on. That was just another thing before we wrap up of like, follow the companies and the things you want to do, because they might have free events and free nights, or like, not that I'm a big arts and crafts person, but like Michael's will hold free events for making crafts on a Tuesday night. And it's like, oh, I could like do this free event with somebody, and that could be cool too. So do what you want to do, and sign up for those companies' newsletters or follow them on social.
That's a good idea. I like that. Yeah, that's another good idea.
And speaking of following on social, you can follow us at Dating Kinda Sucks on Instagram, on YouTube. I'm sorry if you already said some of these things.
I did.
I was like half listening because I was ready to jump in with something else. TikTok at Adam Heath, or my TikTok, which is at simplysarahg_.
Yes, and of course you can watch us on YouTube, as Sarah just said. youtube.com/datingkindofsucks is the URL for that. And if you do enjoy the podcast, we would always love the support. We do bonus episodes after most episodes that we put on our Patreon. And so for $5 a month, you can support us at patreon.com/DKS podcast. And of course, we have a Facebook group where people can get advice and give tips and all types of things, vent, whatever you want. That's facebook.com/group/DKS podcast. For that.
And I think that's it with promoting.
That is it. You can also give us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes if you're listening. We would love, if you're a new listener, we would love for you to give us a 5-star rating and review, because all of our old listeners have already given us ones. But if you're brand new, you can still do it, and we would love for you to go out and do that. We'd love to see a fresh review pop up. And if you're on Spotify, of course, you can follow and heart it. I think heart it or like it. I don't even know how it works on Spotify, but whatever you do is helpful.
Also, DM us on Instagram or socials and let us know that you're listening. Like, we've received a lot of really cool messages recently of people who have just started listening to the podcast and they're like almost all the way through. Or they just finished all of the episodes, which props to you.
Right. Yeah, it's true.
But it's really cool to see some of you guys interacting with us through our direct messages and letting us know that
And
you're here.
living vicariously through our lives as we share them over the last like 5 years. And
Right.
some of you are like, who are listening from the very beginning, are they're going to have some weird shocks as you catch up to the episodes as well.
Like totally different lives. What?
Yeah, I know. Absolutely. Well, thank you for listening. We will be back with a brand new episode in a couple of weeks. And until then.
Until next time.
Whether you're married or single or poly or ace, or hanging out with swingers back at your place, listen to us as we get no luck on Tinder and Bumble and plenty of yuck, trying and having no luck, because we all know dating kinda sucks. Sarah and Adam are two of a kind. He says stupid shit and she doesn't mind. They're not doing this show to make any buck. Life as a chicken whose feathers they pluck. Why does it work? Well, here is the crux. They both know dating kinda sucks. Dating kinda sucks.